1, 2, 3.
How y'all doing? This is Bobby Joe Holman, and you are watching our show called Across the Pond. And my dear partner, Mr. Les Young, today we've caught him, and he is over in Scotland. So Les, it's good to see you there, brother.
And it's very good seeing you, Bobby Joe. Yes, indeed. It's a little bit cold here in Scotland, and I bet it's a lot warmer there in California.
You know, it is, but it is starting to get cold, and I really do appreciate you sending those pictures of that first snow that you had here about a week ago there in the UK. There.
Luckily, it was just an overnight stay, and it just went away the next day, so thank goodness for that. But I've no doubt we'll be in for some more before Christmas.
Oh, that's for sure. That's for sure. So now what exactly in Scotland, where are you in Scotland?
I'm at a place, this building here is called Kinnan Cottage, and it's a lovely, lovely cottage. It's got all the facilities, it's got oak floors, log burning fire, and a very comfy bed. And that's in a town called Creetown, which is a very small town, and it's in the southwest of Scotland. So it's actually quite close to the main trunk road that goes from Scotland or England through Scotland and to the ferry port at Stranraer.
Wow!
And that's where you catch the boat across to Ireland.
Wow! Wow! How exciting! We're looking forward to when we get a chance to go over there, and you'll be able to show us all around and stuff. But I do appreciate you taking the time. I wanted our listeners and also now our viewers of what's going on here. That you're in Scotland and I'm here in Rialto, California, at our kind of sister station here, the Rialto Network. And so we're doing some filming here, and in fact, my partner and the featured artist, blues legend Buddy Reed, which you know you've had on our show Across the Pond. We've got him here and everything. In fact, I'm going to bring Buddy on. I'm going to let you talk to him a little bit.
That'd be absolutely fabulous. Looking forward to this, Bobby Joe.
Okay.
How you doing, Les?
I'm absolutely wonderful, and I'm even better now I'm speaking to you, buddy.
Hey, man. Likewise.
Buddy, we spoke not so long ago on our Across the Pond radio show, which we had running on American Matters Media up there in Nevada at that time. And it was an absolute pleasure to speak to one of the icons, the legends of blues music. So it was a real pleasure for me, buddy. But for our viewers, I'm going to recap a little bit so that they can get a flavour of where you come from and where you've and to where you are today, basically.
Okay.
So, buddy, I believe you were brought up in Oklahoma.
No. All my people are from Oklahoma, and they came out in the 30s, and they all settled up in Kern County and Tulare County, and I was born in Bakersfield, California, and that was the small Oklahoma up there in the 1930s, 40s, all through the 50s. That's where they all settled. People from Texas and Oklahoma, and that's my roots. All my mom and dad both are all out of Oklahoma, and my grandparents were born in Kentucky, and they came up, from there.
So it's a real good fusion of folks from all over the states, really, and settling in California.
Yeah, that's where this is in the Depression era, and they had to come out and find work, So,
Yeah, real tough times.
yes, it
I
was.
believe you got an awful lot of musical influence from your family.
Yes, yes.
And what kind of music were you introduced to then?
Well, it was country music, of course. My granddad, A.T. Carter, was he had a great hoedown fiddle band in Oklahoma, and then when I was coming up, a little kid, he had taught all my older cousins how to play and guitar
Hmm.
and fiddle, and my sister also. I had an older sister. She was 6 years older than me, and he taught all of them. And I came up listening to all the great 78s and all the great stuff, especially came out of Bakersfield in those days.
Yeah.
I grew
A
up
lot of those.
listening to the best of country music, and that was before it took a different path. It was very the roots of country is a big influence on me.
Excellent. And did you actually start playing music on the fiddle, or did you go straight to the guitar?
Well, when I was 6 years old, my granddad bought me a little Stella guitar and taught me an open tuning, open Spanish. They call it open Spanish tuning, and it was called Spanish Fandango. And he taught me this simple little song, and that you bark across the neck like that with to make a chord, and but it hurt my wimpy little fingers, so I didn't stick with it. I learned that song, and then later on, much later when I was a teen, and I got interested in actually playing, I still could play that song, and so it always stuck with me. And it was called Spanish Fandango, and it's funny because the only other person that I heard refer to that tuning as Spanish, open Spanish, was way later, and when I met Muddy Waters, and
Really?
that's what he called it, a Spanish. I'm like,
Mhm.
wow,
Yeah,
that's what my
fantastic.
granddad called it. Interesting.
So when you were in your teen years, you formed or you joined with fellow musicians and created your first band.
Yes.
So what kind of music were you playing then?
Well, I tell you what, I, I, I I came up, with the best of the '50s rock and roll. Heavily influenced. My older sister was into the best of the black vocal groups, and
Mm.
and of course during that time, there was a handful of righteous blues guys that had hits on AM radio and rock and roll stations like Jimmy Reed and Howlin' Wolf and John Lee Hooker and Bo Diddley. So I had that, and I loved that stuff, of course, and all my most influential uh, people um, played those records all the time, and so I loved that music to begin with, but I didn't know how to play it. I mean, it was way over past beyond me to ever even think I could play a Jimmy Reed song or anything on a guitar. But then uh, when I was coming up in high school, there was surf music came in. I grew up in Rialto, and California, and surf music came in big, and I couldn't stand it, man. I thought it was really wimpy sounding music compared to, like I said, the great vocal groups and the Johnny Otis and Little Richard and all the great. So, but it came in strong, and then all of a sudden these Brits started coming on the scene, the Beatles. And I said, well, it's a little better than
Surf.
surf stuff, I guess, but it wasn't really, I thought it was kind of, not, it wasn't very gutsy. It didn't have balls, man, but then the Rolling Stones hit, and their first 2, 3 albums was all blues covers, man,
Mm.
and they covered all this stuff, and it just grabbed me. I said, well, this is it for me. That's for me. I'm gonna do this. All these guys, they're white English guys, and all these thousands of girls are screaming for them and everything, and they're playing Bo Diddley and Jimmy Reed and Howlin' Wolf stuff. And me and my partners got us some guitars, man, and started learning. Yeah, that was pretty much the Rolling Stones were a big influence on me. Then after Satisfaction, I didn't care for them that much anymore. But the first 3 or 4 albums, yeah, they were great, and that's what got me going. And then I listened to all them old records, you know, the actual guys, Jimmy Reed and them, you know, Muddy.
So how did you go from you know, starting out with your first band to actually getting the gigs with Big Mama Thornton? I mean, what a legend of blues music that lady is.
Well, that was through George Harmonica Smith, and it was some years, you know. We were, it was about from 1965 to is when my first professional gig I ever played, to 1969, and I was in a band with Rod Piazza, and he heard about this guy that was playing down at a place called the Golden Bear in Huntington Beach that supposedly sounded like Little Walter, and Little Walter had passed on by this time. So he went down to see this guy, and it was George Harmonica Smith, and Rod got back late that night and called me on the phone. Man, you gotta hear this guy I just met. And anyway, through George, Big Mama Thornton was one of George's neighbors, and they toured together for years. So when we became George Harmonica Smith's band. We were called the George Harmonica Smith Blues Band, and that's how I hooked up with Big Mama, because when I hooked up with George, we hooked up with her at the same time.
But tell him about going down into Watts and play.
Oh yeah.
Cat played down in Watts for years, you said, down there.
Yeah, we played in a little neighborhood place where there was no white faces down there but us. And when we first went down there, it was, like I said, probably 1968. It was just after the Watts riots, and I told Jerry when we drove down through Compton that first night, I said, "Man, we're gonna get killed." You know, I really thought, you know, man, because there was a lot of people really pissed off for good reasons, but after we turned the corner on Wadsworth, and there was George Smith's house and his neighborhood, it was just a welcoming, warm bunch of people, and he go, "Well, okay, come on," and we headed down to the bar where we was gonna play. It's called Smalls on 53rd, and the Small Paradise is what it was called, and it was quite an experience, man. We worked there for like 4 or 5 years, and then we went on the road from there, and we played steady every week there, you know, and it was awesome. We were the only white people there, and they loved us. We were quite the novelty. There, you know?
Yeah, I bet, yeah.
Yeah. How do you know that old stuff? How'd you learn how to play that stuff? You know, they were very curious as to us, why we were playing that style of music, you know. And it was very interesting. I loved it. I will never forget it, man. Big Mama was a trip. She was quite a force, man. You did not mess with her, you know.
Knock you out.
So, I mean, you know, Bobby Joe's told me so much about you, buddy, and you know, he's put so many names in the frame of who you've actually been on stage with. So how did all that happen from Big Mama Thornton? How did it happen that you met these fabulous musicians and actually played with them on stage?
Well, George had just an incredible rep. Everybody loved him and respected him as a player and everything else. And like I said, when we became his band, we became her band at the same time, because when we went on tour, we'd be backing her up. We'd be her backup band. We'd open the show with George first, and then call up Big Mama. And these were package shows, man. And so that put us on shows with everybody. T-Bone Walker, Albert King, Albert Collins, uh, uh, Jimmy Reed, right before Jimmy Reed passed on, Howlin' Wolf. We played with everybody, man. All the major names in blues in the mid to late 60s.
Did you, you know, stepping on the stage, or them stepping on the same stage as you, did you ever feel intimidated, you know, kind of, oh, good grief, I'm playing with these, and I'm, you know, and get really nervous?
It was somewhat. It wasn't quite like that because, man, we had our thing down. We tore it up every time we played, and all these people respected us. Not a lot of them were real happy that we were white guys. A handful, not too many of them, but they were a little bit. What's the word? Not that welcoming about it, but they could not help but respect us because we were playing the real thing, real stuff, you know, in the best. There was no younger black guys want any part of this music, and so we said we'll take it. So we weren't really that nervous because we'd already been playing year in, year out, week in, week out. So we had our thing down, but it was more exciting than it was anything. Yeah, my most nervous periods were when we went on the studios. That studio microphone is what intimidated me, but on live stage, no, we weren't all that nervous. We just had a good time, you know.
Yeah, you've just jumped in there, because my next question was going to be, what was your first studio experience, and who was that with?
That was with George, of course, and that was he had a manager named Link Weiler, and he the earliest recordings we did was in Los Angeles, and of course in those days. I'm clean. I've been clean and sober for 35 years. In those days, I was not. So I did a lot of drinking in those days when we went in the studio, so just to get my nerve up. And that was my first experience. Was El Dorado recording studios in Los Angeles, and then go ahead.
Now you've recorded a multitude of songs on a multitude of albums, which you know are much too long to go into on across the pond. Otherwise, we'd have to buy another 6 hours of airtime.
Yeah.
But which has been the your favourite album that you have played on so far?
That's a tough one, because I've done so many. I believe it was. I would have to say it's a Blue Horizon, one of the Mike Vernon's sessions that we did overseas in England, and there was 3 or 4 albums. Grease one for me. No Time for Jive was one, and but I think my favorite one was called Tough Dude. I think that was the best material that I had done on a record anyway, and the first time I ever really sang through a microphone as a singer was on a record, and that was on not Grease one for me. I forgot which one it is, Les. But my favorite one was that Tough Dude record. It had the cover had a picture of our roadie James on there, and
yeah.
Go ahead.
Sounds really good. And for you good viewers out there, just to let you know that we're trying to get Buddy back into the studios. We've that's through our company, Global Entertainment and Media. We've got the studios already penciled in. That'll be Sound Emporium Studios in Nashville. the producer, Jeff Wilborn, jumped at the chance when I mentioned to him, I said, Jeff, would you like to produce a record by Buddy Reed? He said, who? I said, Buddy Reed. He said, the Buddy Reed? I said, yes. He said, you bet. So that was
wonderful.
I didn't have to sell anything to either the studio or Jeff. And we'll also have the fabulous sound engineering skills of Adam and Rachel there. And so all we need now is the investment to do it, and that's what we're doing at the moment with Global Entertainment and Media. We're getting the investment put into place to get Buddy and Bobby Joe and the rest of the band across to Nashville for a week or so to record this album, and I can guarantee you folks it's going to be an absolute brilliant one. And after that we're going to do a US and a UK tour, and just jumping into that mode, the touring mode. What was it like touring in the early 70s in the UK?
It was great. We were under Mike Vernon's wing, and he was, his reputation was stellar, and it was all
still is.
Yeah, it was all set up, man. It was a lot nicer than the early days over here. When it was like basically the Chitlin circuit, and it wasn't exactly, first cabin all the time. But in England, it was exceptional, man, and all these opportunities that we're just getting ready to do with you and Global is very humbling to me and very exciting. I'm very privileged to be hooked up with Bobby Joe here and you and get the chance to go down and step in through the door in this fabulous place in Nashville that we're going to be recording. And but yeah, in the early days, when we went to England, it was first class, man. It was great.
Excellent. I hope when you get across here, Buddy, that you'll think exactly the same, because we're really looking forward to it. Like you say, we're looking for the investment to record you and to get you across here, because it's not cheap these days. Yeah. But on the bright side, I was at a blues venue 2 weeks ago called the Cleveland Bay, which is up in the northeast of England. Oh. And I asked the guy who runs it, I said, I may have a guy called Buddy Reed coming across the UK. Will you put him on? And he said, bloody right, I'll put him on. You just tell me when it is. He said, I will clear whatever is on that day.
Sweet.
We want him.
Sweet, man. That's really, like I said, it's humbling, and I'm honored.
Well, and if I could jump in too, for our viewers too. I mean, the cat has such an anthology of the music and the people that he's played and the stuff that he's done, and he's just one of the nicest cats that you'd ever want to meet, and in every day he's finding out just how important he is, because there's people like you were saying, the record producer, he knew who he was. I've been talking to people and they go, oh yeah, buddy, oh yeah. And just it's what a great part of the experience, but a marriage that we've got going here. That we have a wonderful cat like this, a blues legend, and then with our company and how we're putting things on the table, and I mean, he has this illustrious career, but we're enhancing the career. And through our own records, our radio station that is affiliated with the Rialto network that goes out all over the world. These shows, and as I say, the record project. It's we're just all excited. But I wanted our viewers to know just this is the quality of people that we are so humbled and honored to have a part of our team.
Absolutely, Bobby Joe, and we're busy talking to an awful lot of artists on both sides of the pond. to come on board. In fact, actually, they're talking to us.
Yeah.
We haven't actually gone out and actively sold any of our services, it's really flattering and really nice, and I reckon it's just because me, you, Jack, and Trevor are such good guys.
Yeah, that's right. There you go. Well, listen, he was. We are here here at the studio at the Rialto Network, and we're doing some filming, and we wanted to talk with you on across the pond, and we were going to play some music. So, buddy, what song here we're going to play for him?
Well, I thought we'd do maybe 2 or 3 originals. One I'm gonna do one called "Good Looking Woman," and then one called "Rat Hole Rock." Rat hole is a slang term for Rialto. When we were kids coming up, all the little hoodlums like myself would refer to it as rat hole.
That's how you knew when you said rat hole. They knew exactly who was Rialto Junior High. So.
Rat hole rock it's an instrumental, and then I'm gonna do another instrumental called Bluegaloo. It's like blues, but it's a boogaloo, so I call it Bluegaloo. That's an instrumental also, and those are originals, and we're gonna have some great originals for the label, Les. I'm really looking forward to it and laying these things down for you, man.
Yeah, well, like I said, all we need now is the investment, and we will be there because everyone is just waiting, and they're absolutely on the starting blocks, ready to go.
Awesome.
Right on.
Awesome, brother.
Very good.
Man, I'm very excited about it, and it's really privileged talking to you again, Les. Looking forward to meeting you in person, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Now, just before you go off to do your live set, a thing that will be of interest to viewers and listeners across this side of the pond is your friendship, one of the icons of British broadcasting, and that's John Peel.
That's right. That's right. I was going to bring him up, and he went by the name of John Ravenscroft over here, because he's like 2 steps ahead of some jealous husband or something. He's a real character. What a great guy, man. He opened up the whole first time I ever heard Muddy Waters record was in his living room, and he opened the whole thing up for me. I stayed at his place for days, and he had stuff from Library of Congress. I knew about Jimmy Reed, like I said, the guys that had records on the radio stations growing up, but that was just a tiny, minute sample of what the blues was and what it was all about, John Peel took me under his wing because he seen we were trying to play the real thing, and I'll never forget it. He was just a 100% great human being. He had the late night DJ spot on KMEN radio in San Bernardino, California, and he wasn't supposed to play old funky blues stuff. He was supposed to play what the station said, but he would do it anyway. He'd go, "This is going out to Booty Reed and his mates," and he'd play "Can't Be Satisfied" or something, So yeah, John Peel was a good friend of mine. I seen him when we came to England. That was right before he passed on, and we were at the Marquee Club, and there he was, man. It was great to see him after all those years,
Yeah, you're a very lucky man. I mean, I never knew John personally, but certainly through the 70s and early 80s, I used to listen to his shows and things like that. And my goodness, he introduced me to some fabulous music.
Oh, yeah.
Not all blues, but my goodness, that man had a real talent for spotting alternative music.
Yes.
And a lot of musicians, certainly in the UK, owe their existence to that gentleman.
I realize that. You're right. And he was one of a kind, man, John Peel.
Excellent. Okay then, you guys, I'm going to leave you now to get on with your live sessions. It's been absolute pleasure and honour to be speaking with you both. But just before I go, Bobby Joe, look what I've got. I've got a cap too.
Well, there you go, brother. There we go.
And if I turn it round, it looks a bit like yours.
Yeah.
Let me go get mine.
Yeah. Very good. Well,
it was funny enough. Little story from me. I was in Australia and I got asked to go onto a blues radio show, and lovely gentleman by the name of Derek Crum, and I went round his house before we went to the studio. He said, it'll be easy if you come round the house, follow me to the studio, and we'll do the show. So I went in, had a cup of tea with him and his lovely wife Susan, and just before we left, he said, Les, do you want to borrow a blues hat for when we do the show? I thought, this is radio.
Well, there you go.
There we go. Anyway, guys, I'm going to love you. Sorry, buddy.
That says something.
It does indeed. Anyway, gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure, and I'm really looking forward to catching up with you guys in Nashville. Now, if there's any of you out there that want to invest, get onto our website at this address: www.global-entertainment-and-media.com. And fill in the contacts form, and we'll get someone to get in touch with you straight away. And also, if you're a budding artist, we'd like to hear from you, and we'll see if we can do for you exactly what we're doing for Buddy here. Yeah. So get in touch. We'll do the rest.
Okay,
gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure. I will catch up with you sometime soon.
Okay, later, my friend. So now we're going to listen to some of these songs that Buddy original songs, and give you the flavor of Buddy Reed and the Rialto Allstars.
lips, baby. Come on, honey, and let me hold you tight. Come on, and let me kiss them sweet lips you got, baby. I wanna hold you tight. Till you feel just right.
Well, I hope you enjoyed it. That'll give you an idea. You got to listen to see my partner here across the pond. He was in Scotland today, and we caught him on the move there. But it was fortunate we were able to do that. And our show across the pond, we've had it for just about 2 years now. Excellent show, and obviously it's about music and of all kinds, but from different continents. I want you to know that check him out, man. This Les Young, wonderful guy. He is inducted into the American Blues Hall of Fame twice as the presenter of his show, Wall to Wall Blues. So that's Les Young. Check him out. Very proud that he is the CEO of our company called Global Entertainment and Media. And so thank you for watching, y'all, and hope to hear from you from you good people as the day goes on. All right.
And
Bye-bye.
if you see our name, Buddy Reed and the Rialto Allstars, wherever we're playing, please come and see us.
Yeah, we'd love to have you come and hang out with us. All right.
1, 2, 3.